impacts the whole family. It is happening to so many of us at the same time. Because of the mood swings and anxiety, you are not performing at work, you are fighting at home, there is rage, there is so much, and your spouse is not able to understand what's happening. It happened to me. So and I wanted to introduce myself, a quick intro, nothing this fancy like Wendy. I'm a menopause coach, and my passion, my mission is to create awareness, educate women and men about menopause and their long-term impacts on menopause. It's so weird that we don't usually talk about it. It's like a silence and a stigma around it, and I want to normalize this conversation, especially in our South Asian community, because this is never spoken about. And our mothers, our grandmothers, they never even talked about it. But all we know about menopause is just the beginning of, like, oh, it's the end of menstrual period and the beginning of free time, but it's not actually free time. There has been research which tells you there's a long-term impacts of menopause on women's health. And the let's see if this is going to menopause is, our body has estrogen receptors in every part of our body, and when the ovaries produce hormones, estrogen, we are like thriving, we are young, everything is working fine. Once we hit menopause and we stop producing those estrogen, every part of our body, every cell starts getting inflamed. And the inflammation is root cause of all the issues. We all know that. So because this lack of estrogen, it starts with mood swings and hot flashes and symptoms like, sleepless nights and all, but it gradually pulls you down to cardiovascular disease, bone loss, muscle loss, lack of sexual desire, and so on and so forth. So that is why I want us to be, and there are so many symptoms that we don't even connect the dots. We don't even understand, oh, this was also menopause, this was also perimenopause. It happened to us. It happened to so many of my friends, and there is so little support in the medical industry. When you go there, they will be like, oh, you need to go to physical therapist, you need to go to pain management, you want to here and there. Nobody connects the dots for us, and nobody educates us what is the long-term effect, and this is actually perimenopause, menopause, and there is help. And Wendy will tell you a little about how hormones play the role and how they, do the replenishment of hormones in the body.
Well, I'd love to jump in right there because I have had the privilege of really working with women of this age group, and it doesn't start when you're in menopause. Even 7 to 10 years beforehand, you start having these symptoms. And so if you're looking to treat it only when you're in menopause, you already have deficits in your body for 7 to 10 years. So even our younger friends starting now, it's really good to optimize yourself now. And the thing that I was going to say about that I think Swati so nicely illustrated is the lack of medical education that there really is on this topic. And it's, to me, one of the greatest fails of the medical industry as far as women's health. It's completely just not addressed. And while I felt that way working here for a year and talking to people all day, every day, and hearing what they come back with, what their doctors are saying, because I got passionate about this and I wanted to learn about it, because when I asked my OB about it, I told her I'm starting to have these symptoms, and she said, I was like drilling down because it seemed like she didn't really have any answers, and she's the gynecologist, so I'm thinking, you have to know this, right? And as I spoke to her, she said, I've been trained she said, honestly, we get like an hour. And I'm thinking, like, an hour a month? Like, what does that mean? I was so confused, and I thought, well, I know people who are taking bioidentical hormones, so like, where do I go for this? And that's really why I was so passionate about helping women with this, because it's such a drop and it's such a lack of education. And so when you go to your doctor, it's part of the curriculum, it's not part of their medical education, which I do think is a fail. But what happens is then you'll go with these symptoms, which there's a ton of them. We're going to go over those symptoms. There's all kinds of things. And when the doctors are addressing these symptoms, they start giving you treatments that are really not the root cause. So like, I have women all the time who are really depressed, and they're on antidepressants, and they correct when they start taking bioidentical hormones, because the doctor looking at this, they're like, okay, well, we know about prescriptions for the different things, but the root cause so often is the hormones, and that's the thing that gets misdiagnosed, mistreated, and like that.
And especially there was a WHI study done on 2002, and that study was basically to stop. So what they did was they stopped the study midway in 2002, and they had a big press conference in DC, and where they announced that, you know what, estrogen causes cancer, which is actually not true. That was absolutely incorrect information given, but in that press conference, this was announced, and that started the fear around HRT, which is actually not true. So I went to this seminar where this Dr. Sharon Malone, she is 66, she is a pioneer, she has written an amazing book called, what is that? Grown Women Talk, yes. Grown Women Talk, and she is friends with Michelle Obama. She is a big advocate of this. So on the seminar, she was saying that, you know what, when the literature came back for that study, nowhere did it say that hormones causes cancer. And yet the women are afraid to take hormones when a fact is they will thrive on the hormones. So this education need to be more, given to common people, and the awareness and the connection between the hormone and poor health. It's not just vanity. It's not just about the way you look. It's not just about the thinning hair or sagging skin or your belly fat. It's more to that. And the long-term impacts are actually dangerous. And it's so sad that menopause actually impacts the whole family. It is happening to so many of us at the same time because of the mood swings and anxiety. You are not performing at work, you are fighting at home, there is rage, there is so much, and your spouse is not able to understand what's happening. It happened to me. So, and there is nobody who tells us that, okay, this is connected to hormone depletion and this is how you fix it. No one tells us. Your doctors will not tell you. So that is why we need to educate each other, men, women, everybody, because when you save a woman's suffering in menopause, you actually are saving her family. And you know what the data says? The data says 1 out of 5 women, they lose their job. Actually, they quit on their own during 45 to 55. Even when they are climbing up the ladders, the brain fog is so real that they think that they're not able to perform the way they want to be or the way that is expected of them. And so 1 in 5 women, and there is data that 70% of the divorces that happen between 45 and 55. And maximum suicide happens between 45 and 55. Why? Because of this anxiety, the brain fog, the depression. So everything is real, but it's rarely talked about. No one connects menopause and all this thing, and every hormone from every cell from your brain to your toe is impacted, and you have so many symptoms. You want to talk about some symptoms?
Yeah, I will. And I wanted to also talk about this study because there's a great lack of these studies, and there's one study that came out, and that was like the gold standard. It was done with horse urine. So the actual chemicals that they used was from horse urine. So it wasn't biological. It wasn't what we give today. And it was also, the study was used, they wanted someone that they could track in the later years of their life. So they used much older people, yes, and they used sick people in the early studies. And so it was just a lot of false fear that study was not actually very reliable, and it sort of was the one that they did, and it informed the whole industry, and they kind of dropped that. And there's much more research coming out now, and my feeling is as the millennials are coming up in the world, they're not going to stand for the mistreatment of like, oh no, just you're getting older, it's just like we're going to be old now. And I think that they're just going to be like, well, what's the solution? And so I think it's going to change, and you'll even see policy changes as far as what's more accepted in the doctors, and all of what Swati was saying about I like to think of it this way: if you raise your hand if you have a daughter or a girl in your family, anybody? Okay, right? And if you don't have a daughter, you remember when you got your period, right? And so it's biological. Like that creature, you maybe, or your daughter, that creature is completely different. And it's not like, oh, just try to relax. Like something is chemically going on that makes her a completely different creature. It's those hormones cannot be denied and they cannot be ignored. So when those hormones are changing, you're going to see women who are acting crazy, right? When they're having PMS, or like we're not even normal. Our brain can't even think clearly. And that's not because you had a bad day. It's because you have a biological storm raging in your system. So when we're going through menopause, bless you. When you're going through menopause, it's almost like reversed PMS. It's like that same raging chemicals. And at least when we're teenagers, it's like, oh, she has PMS. So we know about it. And you're crazy for like 3 days before. The crazy is like going to last for a little while and you kind of write it off. But then when we're in menopause, you don't really see that same 3-day, like I'm bleeding so I can see this. You just see I'm crazy and I don't know why. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
And as far as the symptoms go, what do we have here? Okay. So symptoms, you'll see hot flashes, so vasomotor experiences where you're warm, you're cold. Sleep, when the progesterone goes low, we're having a lot of problems sleeping. You can't think straight. There's the physical things that you see and that you notice. So it's like the mood swings, lack of libido, lack of concentration, lack of motivation, you're losing your muscles, you're gaining fat. All of these things are happening, but the things that you don't see are the bone loss. Yes. And there's the whole internal cascade of what's happening in the body that you don't see. So when you're sweating, it's pretty undeniable. If you've had a hot flash, this is not something that is very comfortable. So that really gets our attention, but the bone loss is not something you're going to wake up and say, oh, you know what? I have brittle bones, because it's not happening one day. It's like those chemicals not being balanced in the system for a certain amount of time that you see a lot of effect that you don't see.
And I want to add something on bone loss. So you will see that how will I know that I am going through bone loss or something. I was listening to this Dr. Wanda Wright. She's a bone doctor. She has also written an amazing book called Unbreakable. So she talks about it in her book. She says, if you want to find out without a bone scan if you are prone to bone loss or not, look at your mom. Look at your mom. If she is shrinking in size, if she is looking more frail, that means she is having these tiny multiple bone fractures in her. And if you don't take action, you don't take care of your menopause care, then you will end up 20 years later, you will end up like her. So, and also when we talk about HRT and hormones, it's not just one pill that will fix it. Is not a magic pill. You do have to change your diet. You do have to do exercise, strength training. You will have to take care of your sleep. Try to stay away from alcohol and smoking and everything. But then hormones is a big part of it. If you do everything else and don't do hormones, it's not going to come back in your body. But if you just do hormones and think that, everything will be fine, I can drink and I can do whatever and I'll still be healthy, that also is not true. And then with HRT, with the hormone replacement therapy, you cannot do on your own. You need some expert guidance, because it's not a cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. You need to have your blood work, your genetic, and someone like her evaluate you and then guide you through the process. So it's very important that how you take these things, because it's at the same time how it's preventive. It's not like a cure, and better early than later, because once you're in perimenopause, menopause, and if you are in the journey, like she said, the bone loss doesn't happen in a day. Same thing with cardiovascular disease. It doesn't happen overnight. If you are in menopause and you waited for 10 years, and then later you want to take some action, guess what? You are probably already way ahead in your cardiovascular journey and your bone loss and your muscle loss. It is preventive, but it can't cure. It will stop the decline from there, but I would say the earlier, the better. And obviously, we are more educated, and know the facts. Do not be afraid. Fear is something that we have to break through. And we have to educate ourselves, our friends, talk about it, normalize it. People don't want to talk, people don't want to accept that they are going through perimenopause, they are in menopause, they just don't want to do it. And when you ask them, how is your libido, how is your sex drive, they're like taken aback. Oh, how do you know? I'm like, I know. And it's like gone. And guess what? That's not the healthy way of living. And I think you guys do testosterone, and which is the hormone that, works with your desire and everything. So, and not just bone health, heart health, brain health. Again, depression and what is this? Alzheimer's, all these you become at risk if you don't live long enough without hormones. Right?
Right. So when you were talking about the specific medicine, I like to think of what we're doing as precision medicine. It's not like a one size fits all. And I do sometimes see that people will come in and they're even like when they do get the things prescribed from their doctor, they might do progesterone and estrogen and they're missing testosterone. So you were talking about sex drive, muscle, maintaining your muscle. We like to work with all three. So it's progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. And people think of testosterone as like a male hormone, right? But actually, as females, as women, we have more testosterone in our body than we do have estrogen. And people are surprised to say that. They're like, how can that be? But we actually do have more testosterone than we have estrogen and progesterone. So when the doctors are only addressing estrogen and progesterone, you don't have a synergistic combination. And like she was saying, where I think of it as precision medicine, we're looking at your labs, we're looking at really a base of all three of these hormones. And I won't go too into detail, that doesn't matter, but at a certain age and a certain rhythm of your body, that's where we would use all three. And it's not like we just have a dose for everybody. We have a dose for you that's based on your blood work, and not just blood work. So for me, if someone comes in, their blood work is off, but their symptoms are none, then you're fine. I do believe that part of it is symptom based. Like we want to look at, are you suffering? Are you having these issues? And if not, then, I'm not a medicine person. I'm very holistic minded, and I like to give the least amount of what we can to optimize. But it is an optimization clinic, and we're really very set on helping people be optimal and not having sex and not wanting to ever have sex and vaginal dryness and all these things that feel taboo that people don't talk about. When you're talking about divorce, it really is important. Yes. And it really changes, and people come in after taking the therapies and they do feel very different in those ways, and also energetic. And like I talk to people who are like, why am I tired? I shouldn't be tired. I didn't do anything that's tiring. But when you look at your labs and your testosterone is down here, you're going to be tired. And it's not, and they think, oh, well, what if I take, I eat better? And that's true. Like she said, it's lifestyle medicine that we do, but you can eat all the greens and wheatgrass and everything that you want to eat. But if your testosterone is low and your progesterone, it doesn't come from food. It's influenced by food, but you're not going to make it up in your diet or activities.
Incontinence in women. That is also because the lack of estrogen, there is incontinence in women. Older ladies, they have bone fractures and then they fall. It's not that the fall created their bone fracture, and that is scary. We do not want to end up like those women and who are in nursing home. We want to do better at the age of 70. There is information, be informed and make an informed decision. See, menopause is something that every woman is supposed to enter, but it is so sad that nobody is prepared for it. We always prepare for pregnancy, we prepare for retirement, we prepare for everything that we know is coming, but nobody prepares us for menopause. And that's the sad part. And it changes us so much that we are not able to recognize ourselves. You become so irritable, so tired, you're not able to manage things as you used to. And of course, you are like, because of your fatigue and anxiety, your behavior with your colleagues, with your family, with your kids, it's just different. And you don't recognize yourself. So it's as simple as that just educate yourself and talk to others, and because every woman deserves this conversation. I do not want people to be afraid, the fear of hormones and cancer, these are big words. Just FYI, heart disease is the #1 killer in women. And this cardiovascular onset is due to the onset of perimenopause, menopause. And you will not find out like tomorrow. It will take 7-8 years, and then you find out, oh, you are developing cardiovascular disease. And no one talks about cardiovascular disease. We only are afraid, oh, hormone gives breast cancer. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It was protective. We had hormones all this time, and it was protecting us. It was giving us all the energy, all the youthfulness. And once it is gone, we have all these biomarkers like cholesterol is going up, blood pressure going up, all these things. So just being aware, getting your knowledge and getting help and support, because unfortunately, I'll have to, just like she said, your gynec will not help you with this. Because I had to change one after another, and she would be like, oh, it's menopause, it's normal. But I refuse to suffer. And that is exactly what we should be doing. Don't say no just because they said no to you. Go ahead, find facts, because everything is out there. It's at our fingertip. Don't just take our word or anybody's word for saying. Go and do fact checking and then come back and get help. Because my doctor said, oh no, I will not give you a hormone. I said, why? Do you think it will give me cancer? And she's like, why would you say that? That is exactly what I was going to tell you. I'm like, no, I know the facts of the study. So the study that we were talking about, you know what the data was? It was 1 in 1,000 women. So earlier there were 4 out of 1,000 women who were getting cancer. After all this, there was 5 in 1,000. So basically it was just 1 in 1,000, but they projected as 25% increase, because from 4 to 5 is 25%. And that's what they said, which was not true. And then that study was done on women aging 60, 63 to 79, who were already like way ahead in their journey. They were in menopause for more than 10, 12 years. So we have to understand that we need to start on time. We don't want to delay it and then, regret that, oh, I should have started 10 years earlier. And it's very simple, it's very easy. I am on HRT, and ever since I am on HRT, I am thriving. And I was almost disabled when menopause really hit me. It was early for me, I was 46, I didn't expect it. And the perimenopause journey was even more difficult. All these symptoms, everybody would say like, no, it's nothing. You are still getting your periods, right? But no one tells you that even if you are getting your regular periods, you are still in perimenopause. And these symptoms, this fluctuation of hormones, can put you in a very sad state. So, you want to add something more?
I would just say, I heard her, the other day we were speaking and she was talking about joint pain and how it helped her so much. So when you were talking about that, it reminded me how
musculoskeletal pain, and it is real. It is happening to so many of our friends and colleagues, but this fear of, lack of information, this fear of cancer is keeping them from getting help, going out there and taking hormones. For us in the South Asian community, it is a big problem. People don't even want to talk about that. Half of the women, they don't want to talk. They think they will age themselves by talking about it. But guess what? Perimenopause can start as early as late 30s. So if you accept it, if you talk about it, doesn't mean that you're aging yourself. It just means that you are aware, you have knowledge, and you know science, and you know the facts, and that's why you're talking about it. So just know that this is not for us to suffer. This is a very important transition of our life. We spend 1/3 of our life in this state, and we do not want to suffer. We are at our wisdom peak, we have money, our kids are growing up. This is the best time of our life. We should not curl up in one corner and, oh, my body is hurting, my brain doesn't work, oh, I don't feel happy, I feel rage, I feel anxious. We shouldn't be. I would highly encourage you to say no to all of that. And we are more powerful than this, and we can thrive and be happy and just conquer the world.
Conquer the world.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. I think that's pretty much it. I just want the message across.
Same, and I was
Awareness
excited to talk with you because she's so passionate about it and I'm so passionate about it, and really just seeing the effect and the change that it really does for people. I see you mostly on the first side of it, but even when my patients come back, I was talking to someone this morning and she's like, I just feel so much better. And I remember when I was the first intake, when we first were sitting together, and it was just so nice to hear the change, how she was and how she is now. And really when people, and we have tissues in my office because I have people crying in there all the time because they start opening up and they tell me things, and I'm really seeing their life and seeing the changes that it makes. So it's nice to do and nice to share.
The last thing I want to say is that because you touched upon this crying part, please encourage your spouse, partner, or whoever is in your life to get involved. it changes everything, because they think you are the one who is complaining and you are the only one who has problems. But guess what? It is everyone. So once you have the partner support, once you have the spouse support, it will just change the thing. Once he was aware of everything, he went to the seminar with me, everything changed for me. He was like, oh my God, this is so important. Now I understand what you do and why you do it. So it is very important. Share it with your partner, get awareness, get them understand that it is not just you, it is everybody. And there is help, and you will be back to your own self again soon.
Next
So
time
thank
you should
you,
have
ladies.
one and you need to push your spouses.
Absolutely. Bring your partners
We
with
need to
you.
hear more than, because I feel like we go through these cycles, but then they
don't
don't
understand.
understand it. They don't understand it, and they keep on blaming us. But it's not in our control either.
Yes,
So
100%.
There
It's
is a
not in
book
our control.
that men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah.
I read that book 3 times, and 3 times I stopped reading that book because I realized that if you read alone, you will be more pathetic. You have to read with your partner because you will be giving, but the other person is not taking, neither giving to you. So you will be more drained. So I think so it holds for the same thing that
Yeah.
the other
I would-
person should be at the receiving end too, because
Highly,
then
highly
it is
encourage
partnership.
you to get your spouse involved, educate him with you, because we don't know. So if we don't know what is happening to our bodies, how can we imagine them understanding it? So it is up to us to educate them, to get them involved. I have been this advocate for some time now, but I did not know that he did not know these things in depth. When we went to the seminar, he was stuck with me for 3.5 hours, listening to all these famous doctors and ladies, and he was like, his jaw dropped. His jaw was on the floor. He's like, what? I'm like, so what was I saying? You knew all this? What? So the whole thing changed how he looks at it now, and he understands the importance. So I will highly encourage you guys to do the same.
And also, the men are going through stages also.
Yes.
So it's not just menopause. I'll call it menopause, which is not necessarily a real thing, but they're also experiencing the lack of testosterone that has the same kind of effects of the marriage. Like they're not feeling a certain way that they used to, and people think that there's a biological component, not for just women, for men. So not only bringing your partners or husbands, but also educating that there's a decline that doesn't have to be, because it's bioidentical, it's plant-based, and it's something that we can all benefit from. So thank you guys so much for being here. And if you guys have any questions, we'll be around afterwards.
Yes.
And it was nice to see all of you and nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.